We are live for episode 115. That was my bad. First time hosting without John. I made a mistake. I fucked it, but we're going to rock and roll and get it going. I'm Brandon Capozziello. This first time meeting him, our buddy Nick from the Bronx. We're going to get into some Damian Lillard to Miami. What? Come on, talk to me nice. Some NBA free agency reactions. James Harden still has to decide. We got Kyrie Irving staying in Dallas. That was a surprise to me, to be honest with you. We're gonna maybe get into some basketball. Some football. We got Broncos, Raiders preview. Nick is also a Raiders fan, and maybe some little more stuff to get into it. But Nick, how you doing this fine Thursday morning?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm ready to get to it.
All right. So I'm gonna kick it to you first, but I'm gonna ask you this question. John wanted to know really badly. You are from New York. You are from the Bronx, to be specific. You're a New York native.
Born and raised.
Born and raised. How'd you become a Miami Heat fan?
It's funny because I love telling this story, man. So growing up, I come from a basketball family. My uncle played, I played, my cousin played, both my cousins played. And so whenever I went to my uncle's house, it was a basketball house. I used to love going during the season. My uncle used to live right up the block, so we used to come all the times, watch the Knicks games. But watching those Knicks games, man, when I was younger, there was one dude that stood out to me. I don't know if you can see. I got the D-Wade jersey behind me. When I watched that dude play the Knicks, because, Miami, New York was always a rivalry, was always a big thing. Once I saw D-Wade play, I was like, wow. I remember I used to ask my uncle all the time. I'm like, yo, who is that guy? And then on my own time, I did my research. I started watching Heat games by myself, and I just fell in love with the atmosphere in Miami, watching that crowd. And then I'll never forget, I was in my Bronx apartment, sitting there with my mom, begging my mom so I could stay up late, watching that 2006 NBA Finals when D-Wade averaged 34 a game.
Come on now.
Oh my God.
Come on now.
And it just, I don't know, man.
You fell in love right there.
Yep.
Now,
it's funny until I die.
Until you die. And it's funny you say that because that's exactly kind of where I became a Miami Heat fan. I think I've told this story on the show. I'm from Connecticut, but I've gone to Florida basically my entire life. Every year we would take a spring break, a 1 week vacation to Florida. And then usually Orlando. This one time we went to Miami. Now, I was a kid at the time. I was like, I think 7, 8 years old or whatever. I got stung by a jellyfish. That sucked. I hate beaches. It was really my cousin, my brother's fault, telling me it was a balloon. I fell for it. I was a kid. Don't make fun of me, all right? And there was a storm. I think there was a hurricane, actually, to be honest with you. But we went to a Miami Heat game. I forget who they were playing. It might have been the Knicks, but I could be completely wrong. This was maybe 05-ish, I think. Maybe it was 06. But there was like 6 of us. But Nick, we only had 5 tickets. So how are we going to get in? So my dad comes up with a plan. I'm the youngest. I'm the shortest, right? While he's giving the ticket to the lady, I'm behind him, and he's slowly scooching me in behind him without anybody seeing me. And all 6 of us get in with only 5 tickets. We enjoy the game. I was a Miami Heat fan. Dwayne Wade was playing that night. I don't know what he did. I was a kid. I don't remember what he had or whatever. He probably had a great game or whatever. And then I remember that 06 finals. Seeing that, bits and pieces of it, I fell in love at that point. Dwayne Wade was my favorite player. He made me a Miami Heat fan. But it's glad to have you on. I'm glad to have you on. So let's dive into the big news of the NBA, right? What's been taking up everything by storm. Damian Lillard has finally requested a trade out of Portland, Oregon. Now, this is a long time coming. I haven't really been calling for him to come to Miami. I've been saying, you're not going to get it done in Portland. No superstars are coming. You have to draft those superstars, and that takes time. It's time to leave Portland, Dan. So let's get your thoughts on it. Do you think it's been, I think, about a week since he requested a trade, if I'm not mistaken?
Something like that, yeah.
Do you think Dame gets his wish? Because all the reports show that he wants Miami. Shams has reported. Do you think Damian Lillard gets his wish and is going to take his talents to South Beach?
I think he does, because if you look at the past history of superstars requesting a trade to specific teams that they want, they always get their wish. And plus, you got to look at the predicament that Portland is in. They have their one superstar. They're still trying to get some free agents, trying to start rebuilding the team. And, Portland doesn't really attract a lot of free agents, doesn't really attract a lot of players. But if they handle this Damian Lillard situation right, they're going to show that, sometimes it's not just a business. They cared about Dame. They cared about what he brought to the city. They cared about everything he's done in his career, 11 years. I think he missed the playoffs once. So it's really about the organization. Their reputation is on the line because Dame did all this loyalty. Oh, I want to be in Portland. I want to be here. If they don't give him what he wants, that just shows that that man did all that for you and you're not giving him what he wants in return. That's a bad look. Especially when you just get a generational talent in Scoot Henderson. You just give Jeremy Grant 5 years. What was it? I think it was 5 years, 190. 160.
Yeah.
You give Jeremy Grant that big contract. Who knows? Maybe the way you treat Dame will attract other guys. But if you treat him badly, Scoot might not sign his extension. He probably will because of the money. But Scoot might be like, yo, I want out of Portland. You see the way they treated Dame. I'm on the come up. They're going to treat me the same way. So their reputation is really on the line here.
Yeah, it sets a bad precedent. So I was having a conversation with my brother who's a Spurs fan. He's big hyped that he's got Wembanyama now, right? I'm not 100% sold on Wemby. I know, generational talent and stuff. I have concerns about my only concerns are the injuries and how he's going to look against NBA players and how that body is going to, not even hold up, because I am concerned about the injuries. Like I said, it's more of just, dude, if you have to get switched onto like a Jokic or Embiid guarding those big boys, those big
or even a Bam Adebayo,
like, that's tough. I know he's got the hype, but he's slinky.
Yeah.
But so I was having a conversation with him, right? And he doesn't think that Dame's coming to Miami. He is listening to I don't know who the hell, Michael K, whatever, saying the Spurs have the best package because they can offer 6 first-rounders. Now, okay, is that enticing? Yes. But it's kind of so he basically is coming from the suit that if the first year is probably going to be a good pick because they're going to be figuring it out. But I guess he doesn't talk about after that, which I guess he thinks that they're going to be instant contenders right after that, which I don't believe at all. I don't think Damon, how old is Wemby? 19-year-old, 20-year-old Wemby is going.
I think he's 18, going to be 19.
Yeah. So like that young of a kid, I don't think he's going to be helping to pair with Dame and be this championship contending team, especially in that Western Conference. Forget about that, man.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think that's the case where they have the best package, what I'm trying to get to is Miami has the best package out there. It's not Miami's fault that right out of the gates, Portland was like, we don't want Tyler Hero. That's the best person we can offer. And you're right out of the gate saying we don't want him. Seems like there's something that's not being fair or being taken seriously here on somebody's part, and it's not Miami's. It's Portland's like, oh, we don't want him. Now, okay, you can make the case he doesn't fit what they're doing. They got 3 guards already, but still, it's like you just instantly come out and say deny. We're offering Tyler Hero,
Duncan Robinson.
There's rumors it's Duncan. I'm hoping it's Kyle more than Duncan. I just want to get off that contract of Kyle Lowry. No offense. I'd love to have him on the team, but for like $5 million. 29 is ridiculous. And then 3 first-rounders, I think, and maybe Jovic. I don't think we can trade Hami until the end of this month.
I don't think so either. Yeah. And plus, I'm not gonna lie, the way he's looked in summer league, I don't want to trade him either.
You don't want to trade him, yeah.
I don't want to trade him either.
Yeah. So, but what I'm getting to is, this isn't going to be a straight-up trade. We've heard the reports. There was a report yesterday, Nick. I don't know if you saw it. this could take a five teams.
Yes, I heard that.
That's ridiculous.
I think that's crazy too. I in my opinion, I think Portland is being very stingy.
Yes.
I think they're trying to pull off one of those blockbuster trades, and Cronin is trying to be he's trying to be Danny Ainge.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy about it.
He's trying to get the Rudy Gobert package right now.
Yeah, he's trying to get that Rudy Gobert package, but that Rudy Gobert package was disgusting.
Yeah, it was an exception. That was not the rule, it was the exception.
Yeah. But
like you said about the superstars getting what they want. And I've heard the narrative, right, that they get what they want when they're on the 1 year or they're on an expiring contract.
He's got another 4 years on his deal.
But I got some players that I'm almost positive had more than 1 year left on their contract when they requested the trade. You got James Harden in Houston.
When he went to Brooklyn.
Yep. You got Westbrook from OKC to Houston. I'm pretty sure he had just signed a max deal like 2 years prior.
Yeah, they had that 1 year. They got bounced out by Portland, I think. Then he got traded the next year.
Yep. You got PG from OKC to the Clippers. He had a big deal.
He played 1 year, re-signed, and then a week later, he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to LA. I'm going to LA." Why?
You had Carmelo from Denver to New York. You had CP3. I think CP3. That was the one that I think he didn't, but he might have. KD definitely just did from Brooklyn to Phoenix, and then Kyrie has done it.
Yeah.
So I just look at it and I say everybody. It seems like right when the guy, everybody was like, "Dame, request a trade. Get out of Portland. He requested, and then everybody's like, "Oh, well, I don't know how Miami's going to get this done. I don't know how it's going to happen." It's like, did we not just see? I understand he had no trade clause. Did we not just see Bradley Beal get traded for no first round picks?
Literally, like I don't get it.
Everybody's acting like Miami's package isn't good enough,
and it makes me mad because when you look at guys like Kevin Durant when he got traded from Brooklyn to Phoenix, he had a little bit of leverage, but not the Damian Lillard leverage. Like when it comes to loyalty and what he's done for the franchise.
Yeah.
And I understand it's Kevin Durant. I understand it's James Harden. But we're talking about 11 years 11 years with the franchise. He was your franchise guy, rookie of the year, all NBA first teams. He gave you some iconic moments in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Iconic. He took you to a Western Conference Finals. Yes, they got swept. They met the 73-9 Warriors. Oh, the Warriors were KD. I get it. But he's done so much for that franchise.
Yep.
You got to give the man what he wants.
Yep.
And I understand Miami, Miami might not be the package that you want, but if you got to take that package, and then if Cronin really thinks he's Danny Ainge, you can flip that whole package. You can waive Kyle, get some cap space. You can trade Tyler again. You can keep him. You can do whatever you want with him. We're still gonna give you 4 first-round picks.
Yep. So in terms of that package, right? And then I mentioned earlier the multi-team deal, right? I just saw a report from Windhorse on ESPN, a potential 5-team deal. I'm seeing right now from Woj about 20 minutes ago, team said they would give up good first-round pick to Blazers for Heat star and 3-team Dame deal. And there's obviously been reports that Utah and Brooklyn are the guys that are interested in Tyler Hero. They have nice picks. This deal is going to get done within, I think, the next week, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think by this time next week, he'll be in Miami.
In Miami, right? Mm-hmm. Hero is either going to be going to Utah or Brooklyn. They're going to get one of those teams is going to give up 2 first-round picks, maybe 1 to the Blazers. We're giving 3 already to the Blazers. That's 4 right off the bat. Like you said, Kyle Lowry, I'd like to I don't understand why Portland wouldn't want him. I understand the contract, but it's an expiring deal. You're not looking to contend, so it's not like it's going to negatively impact your future. It's just this 1 year. And you get a veteran point guard who can help mold and teach those young kids that you got how to play some tough pitbull-style basketball.
And he showed that last year when we were in the playoffs, when we came to the NBA Finals. Kyle Lowry showed that he can come off the bench He can run with that second unit. He can make shots, get guys open, get you a bucket when you need to. If Cronin talking about, oh, we still want to compete in the West, why wouldn't you take Kyle Lowry? With the young stars in Anthony Simons, when you got a young star in Shaden Sharp, you got a young up and coming guy in Scoot, you got a big guy in Jeremy Grant, you got Yusuf Nurkic. Like, why wouldn't in that situation? Why wouldn't you want that veteran point guard championship mentality in Kyle Lowry? And you only get him 1 year.
Yeah, you hit on something, the Nurkic thing. So there's been rumblings that he also might be trading. I obviously wouldn't really want him in Miami.
Especially because we just signed Thomas Bryant.
Yeah, we just signed Thomas, which I'm not super excited about, but at least he can shoot the 3-pointer. But yeah, I'm not big on the Nurkic move, but it might happen just because it just might have to be included in the deal, and we might just have to take that L right there. It's not a big L. He's making $16 million per year. It's not terrible. It's not the best, but it's okay. But yeah, I just and then you look at the 3 first-rounders from Miami. Everybody's saying, oh, these picks might not be good. Dude, these picks are what, 20 – what are they, 26, 27, 29, something like that?
I think so, something like that. If you're in a rebuilding stage, you want picks that far.
That's what I'm saying. Look at Miami. Jimmy Butler is what, 34, 35?
By the time that deal's going to be 34. Yeah.
By the time those contracts come out, Jimmy Butler probably going to be retired. Damian Lillard might be back in Portland because there's a screenshotted thing of Damian Lillard liking a tweet saying Dame needs to do his LeBron shit and go to Miami, win a championship, and then come back to Portland and win a championship. So, I mean, I could see Damian Lillard going to Miami, fulfilling that 4-year deal, leaving and going back to Portland and his career. I could honestly see that.
I could see it too.
So and then Bam is probably going to be like in the middle of his prime, tail end. It's just you're getting picks deep down the line that you have no idea what Miami's going to be. They might be in rebuilding mode. They might be still in championship contender. You don't know. You have to take that shot. It's like any deal. You have to take those chances. So go ahead.
No, I was going to say one thing I did want to say is that I know everybody, we've been talking about, multiple teams. One of the teams I'm interested in getting a trade with is the Brooklyn Nets. Yeah. I feel like the Brooklyn Nets have a lot of hidden gems over there on low contracts. And I have it written down here. People might say I'm crazy. People talk about Miami going to get Dame and they're going to take Ben Simmons. I'm not taking Ben.
No.
If there's anybody on that Brooklyn team that I want, we're low on the guard depth, especially if we trade Kyle and Tyler. I want Cam Thomas.
I don't think. I think that'd be having your cake and eating it too.
That's very true as well.
So I think if anything, Cam Thomas might end up in Portland. But then here's the thing: is that Portland they don't want Tyler Hero. Why would you want Cam? That makes no sense. So maybe that's the 5-team deal where maybe Cam Thomas ends up. This might be one of the biggest lucrative deals in NBA history that's about to pop off. There might be Utah and Brooklyn might be involved with those 4, and then maybe a 5th team in there.
And then now they're talking about they're throwing in teams like Boston, Philly. I'm like, that's not going to happen. Yeah, Philly's not going to happen because James Harden doesn't want to go to Portland.
And they're not willing to give up Maxey.
Exactly. Yep. And if you look at Boston, they're going to sign
you're going to get rid of Jaylen Brown. You're going to get rid of Jaylen?
Exactly. You're gonna sell your whole roster just to get a starting lineup of Dame, Peyton Pritchard, Dame, Peyton Pritchard, the 2 J's, and Kristaps, and that's it.
I mean, I don't know if they'd be able to keep Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown would have to be the centerpiece of that.
Yeah,
and all indications they don't want to get rid of Jaylen Brown. So that's why I was like, go ahead.
I guess they're trying to be sneaky. No. Because if you look, they haven't signed him yet. Jaylen Brown hasn't signed his extension. They're like, oh, yeah, we're going to give Jaylen his extension. We're going to give Jaylen his extension. But I don't know.
So, I mean, if that's the case, I just don't – that's an interesting one. If they haven't signed Jaylen and they're being sneaky about that and they're going to give up Jaylen. But I thought, all indications were Jaylen's going back to Boston. But if that's the kind of like, pull a card out of your sleeve. Here's the the ace in the hole, Jaylen Brown. You can't compete with that. Jaylen Brown's a top 20 player in the league right now, in my opinion. So
And
Yeah,
if
I
Portland,
think me and you are on agreement. Damian Lillard is going to be headed to Miami within the next week. It's just about getting kind of the semantics done. Uh, Superstars get what they want. Don't buy into the. It's really is propaganda to me. The stuff of
yeah,
Portland's not going to entertain or they will entertain other teams. They're not they're not going to acquiesce to Dames that. Come
I
on,
don't
we
think they're
just
doing all
like that.
that.
That's not happening. It's just the team putting it out to kind of put public pressure
Yeah,
on Damian Lillard. That's not going to happen. That happens all the
yeah.
time.
And I
If
feel
we
like
have,
they're trying to. I feel like they're trying to put pressure on Miami
oh
to
yeah,
make a couple more moves, so that way we can make it a 2-team deal.
yeah, they probably want to include Caleb Martin, but
I'm not. I'm not doing it.
it's just like,
Caleb is too valuable to
yeah,
us.
he's too valuable, man.
If
We're
if
already, yeah.
if there's somebody we have to let go, it might be Dun. It's probably going to be Duncan.
I just don't understand why they would want Duncan but not Tyler. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's because Duncan has a little bit more like height, length. So Duncan can play the 3 if you really need to. He can back up Shaden Sharp.
Could,
That's the way I look at it. But
yeah,
if I'm Miami and Portland wants to give up more, like we talked earlier about Nurkic might be in the deal.
yeah.
I think if we're Miami, well, I'm talking about getting your cake and eating it too.
Yeah.
I want Justice Winslow.
Want him back.
Yes, because he had his best. In my opinion, he had his best years in Miami.
Yeah.
And then we're already bringing back guys like Josh Richardson, who had their best years in a Miami uniform.
Like that.
We can utilize them way better than Portland did, even though Justice Winslow was having a good year in Portland, even though he got hurt. But you bring Justice back, it's a familiar face. You know what Justice brings. He can distribute the ball, which is what Miami likes. He plays defense at a high level, which is what Miami likes.
Yeah.
And I feel like he could be a good piece if Portland is willing to give him up. But like you said, it's like getting your cake and eating it too.
Yeah, you gotta be able to. I just gonna check real quick what Justice Winslow was shooting from 3 if he got better.
I think his 3-point last year, I think he
31.5% his career. So I mean, yeah. I mean, he's averaging 1.5 threes per game, basically. I hear what you're saying. He's a solid defender. He has learned how to distribute the ball well, being like a point forward type. If it came down to it, you'd take him on. He's not a massive contract or anything. I'm all about 3-and-Ds. I just want 3-and-D play. I think stack it. Yeah, right.
That's the Miami way. It's the Miami way.
3-and-D players is where this league is going. You have your stars / superstars, and then you surround them with 3-and-D players to just accentuate the offense. But if you got anything else you want to add on the Dame to Miami stuff,
all I'm gonna say, Dame, I can't wait for you to come to South Beach. That's all I'm gonna say.
Dame time's coming.
We're gonna treat you right, and we are gonna contend for a championship. And if there's anything that Jimmy Butler's taught me in these past 4 years, all we need is a chance, and we can make it happen.
Yep, I love it. So let's get into some of the next, I guess, big news in the NBA free agency. I always love the I forget what they call it, the mortemum period of the free agency or whatever, where it's like the 6-day period. I forget what it's, some type of word that begins with an M.
Okay.
Yeah. Where teams are, you kind of come to a handshake deal with the agreements, and then you can officially sign on July 6th, which I think is today, actually.
Yeah, it's actually today.
And they always talk about, the NBA GMs and whatever are, really staying in their lane and not, negotiating with players before the actual official time is. You get all the reports. It's just funny. So Kyrie Irving, he's back in Dallas. Now, I don't know your thoughts on it, right? This is going to be brand fresh. I don't know if you know my thoughts on Kyrie in Dallas. I'm going to get your thoughts first. So Kyrie re-signs with Dallas, 3 years, $126 million. What do you think? They've made some moves. They brought in Derek Lively. They drafted him in the lottery. They drafted another kid in the 20th. His name is escaping me. They added a couple. They traded for the Holmes guy.
Grant Williams.
Yep.
Oh, Rashawn Holmes.
Rashawn
Yeah.
Holmes. They made some moves, right?
So yeah.
And they got Grant Williams as well last night too. They just did a sign and trade for Grant Williams. I think it was 4-year, 154 million, or not 150. Sorry, 54 million.
Yeah, it's 4 years. 4 years, 53,
54, 53.
something like that. Yeah.
And I think I'm not sure if Thibault is there. I know they
He
offered.
is.
They did. Okay. So
He signed with them too.
which I actually do really like. I was calling that when the Kyrie trade to Dallas happened. I was like, they need a guy like a Thibault, a guy who's gonna like a Cephalosha. Think of him back in OKC, straight defender. That's what they don't need. No more offense. You got Kyrie and Luka. They need a straight defender on that starting five. So with all those moves and all that being said, Nick, what is your thoughts on the Dallas Mavericks going into next season? Are they going to be back to that Western Conference Finals, or are they going to be barely making the playoffs?
So with everything that Dallas is doing, re-signing Kyrie, getting all the free agents, the big names I have written for the Mavericks are Grant Williams.
Yep.
Like we said, Grant Williams, Matisse Thybulle. And one I have on the low is Seth Curry. And people talk about he was a bust, but now he's back in the league, Dante Exum. And then obviously re-signing Kyrie. I think when it comes to Dallas, I think they've if the Lakers didn't have the offseason that they had, Dallas would have the best offseason right now. Because you have a bunch of 3-and-D guys surrounding Luka, surrounding Kyrie Irving, and you got guys who can defend at a high clip. You got Grant Williams who can shoot the 3-ball. Matisse can really guard 1 through 4 if really needed to. And you got 2 ball-dominant guys. I'm not going to lie, when Kyrie went to Dallas, I told everybody, I was like, this is not going to work. It's not going to work. There's 1 ball, and both of them take up about between 10 to 14 seconds on the shot clock. Because then when you can't make a move, you can't get a shot off, you look up and it's like, oh my God, we got 10 seconds. Like, we got to hurry up. Like, it's like in the beginning, I said it wasn't going to work. Because there's 1 ball, and then there's 4 sets of hands. And both of them like to dribble away from my shot. Kyrie's got all his counters, waiting for his move. But now you add 3-and-D guys who can take a little bit of pressure off of them. And, like, as much as I hate Grant Williams is not a bad player. I think Grant Williams fits them very well. He can shoot the 3-ball in a high clip. So, like I said before, like, you adding all these 3-and-D guys so that way you get guys who can, like, if they end up giving, Kyrie, Luka, they end up passing off to them, they can make their own shots. You got guys like Seth Curry who, if it wasn't for his years in Portland, he had great years in Dallas too. And like I think the Mavs are really trying to contend because Luka's got that superstardom. Last year they didn't make the playoffs. I got them going in like 4 or 5 seed next year.
All right, so you have them kind of being back where they were. So like you, when that first move was made by Kyrie to Dallas, I was not on board. And months later, I'm still not on board with it. I don't believe in this duo. I'm going to go as far to say that this duo will fail. This duo will not win a championship. Why I say that is because this duo just doesn't fit right. Luka needs a team built solely around him. Think AI style. Think Kobe with Pau, where it's basically the guy, and then he's got his pieces. AI was really just him and, a bunch of auxiliary pieces, and then Kobe at least had Pau. But something like that. Kyrie would be so much more successful in places like LA, the Lakers, Philly, Milwaukee, Miami, even Minnesota. Places where he's the guard and then he can play off bigs, right? When you got Kyrie and Luka, like you said, 2 ball dominant players, 2 players that don't really do much off the ball, Luka especially. Two guys that aren't great defenders. They're really not even good defenders. They're solid defenders. They'll Kyrie when he wants
Kyrie
to
is
can
a
be
solid defender.
when
Luka
he
is
really
not.
wants to. Yeah, when he really wants to, he can be. Luka just gives no Fs really, if we're gonna be honest. It just doesn't match up well to me. Can they still be, like you said, a fifth, maybe even fourth seed, sixth, right? Sure. They've got Kyrie and Luka. But in terms of actually competing in the playoffs, they're going to get their weaknesses are going to be exposed. It's going to be taken advantage of. They're not competing with a team like the Denver Nuggets. Who the hell is stopping Jokic? They're not competing with a team like the Lakers if they're healthy. Who's guarding AD? Who's guarding LeBron? Thibault is a really good defender. He ain't guarding LeBron. I'm sorry. Let's just be honest. It's just not going to work, in my opinion. It's like trying to stick a square peg in a round hole. Ain't gonna work. Ain't gonna work. So yeah, I mean, so I guess you're here. What I'll say. Do you think that, because this is a question I actually asked when the move was made, right? And our buddy Justin was steadfast. He was like, "No, it's not going to be that." Do you think that a Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic led team is more likely to make it to the finals or be bounced in the first round?
Bounce in the first round, in my opinion.
Yep.
Because when you look at the way the Dallas Mavericks are set up right now, well, even last year, when you get down to those crunch time moments, who's going to take the last shot?
That's what I'm saying. And it was Kyrie. It was, if you look at the stats, and I know people hate Skip Bayless, but he was on this shit like white on rice. Every game that they basically played, he had the numbers put of the fourth quarters of Kyrie Irving taking triple the shots that Luka was taking in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. It's just
eventually it's just not gonna. I mean, this is supposed to be Luka's team, and I thought at some point Luka's gonna be like, I want the last shot, like, and it's just not gonna clash. Heads are gonna start.
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to butt heads. Yep. I'm waiting for that one clip where Kyrie has like 20, 25, and Luka's going for 50.
Yep.
And Luka's hot. And then we get the last second shot of the game, and Kyrie takes a shot. And I'm waiting for Luka to blow up on him.
Yep.
I'm waiting for Luka to look at him like, dude, I'm killing this guy right now. You got to give me the ball.
Yep. It's nothing against, like I said, it's
nothing against them. Like, they're great players.
These two, Luka's a top 10 player. Kyrie, in my opinion, is still a top 20 player when he's not, thinking with his ass, out of his ass, I should say.
Thinking outside the box.
Yeah. It's just they don't work together, in my opinion. They won't fit. They need to play with bigs, in my opinion. So I know Dallas, Mark Cuban basically had to do this because losing Kyrie is major, especially with what you gave up, which was just.
And I feel like if you're looking at it the way Mark Cuban is looking at it, if we lose Kyrie, we might lose Luka.
That's it.
Because
I know we just talked about them bashing heads, but Luka at least can look at it and say, I have a guy that I know is capable, right?
Exactly.
But I think they're going to quickly find out that this duo is just not, while they're both capable, they're not capable together enough to compete with. Honestly, even the Clippers when they're healthy, they're not. Who's guarding Kawhi and Paul George? You go down the list in the West, the Warriors are still going to be back, in my opinion. Phoenix, you look at that offensive juggernaut. Sacramento's coming, young team. There's these
Keegan Murray just dropped a 40 ball in Summer League. And I'm over here thinking, I'm like, dude, why are you playing in Summer League? And I'm like, dude, why are you playing in Summer League? And then if you really think about it, the Kings are on the way, man.
They're on their way.
They just finished top 3 in the West. Yep. They gave the Warriors a dogfight in the first round.
Yep.
And then you got Keegan Murray, who's going to improve like that. Fox is only going to get better.
Yeah, they might have
only get better. Like
they might have won. They might have won if he never broke his finger or fractured his finger.
Oh my God, yes. I tell people that all the time.
They also Sabonis needs to learn how to make a goddamn
jump shot. Yep.
Jump shot, like a free throw jump shot, basically. Like people cannot be playing that off of you. that is just they would never do. You can't be called Baby Jokic and be playing like that.
Exactly.
They never do that.
He's standing at the free throw line like this, looking around for a pass.
Shoot a free throw.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so off of Dallas, right? What were some other big? This is one I want to talk about. I don't know. It's not big anymore, but he's still got name value. Russell Westbrook is back as a Los Angeles Clipper.
I actually have a team that I want to talk about when you're done.
I think it was 1 year, $8 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
I think. But it doesn't matter. I love Westbrook back as a Clipper. If there's videos of me on our channel and whatnot, that you can go look up of me killing this move when it first was happened. I was like, I blame Paul George. Paul George sold Kawhi a bag of bullshit. He sold another bag of bullshit to get Westbrook in here. I was pissed. I'm like, yeah, you're ruining it for Kawhi. I went off. I was very angry because for me, Westbrook at that time, I wasn't crazy, was an inefficient turnover machine player. That's what he was. He might still be that. He might still have that genes in him. But in the Clipper uniform, for whatever reason, I think it had to do with confidence mostly and belief in him. Ty Lue had that belief in him. He played the controlled rage, kind of a controlled frenzy. He played out of control, but also in control at the same time. His shots were falling, actually. That Westbrook right there, with the healthy Paul George and Kawhi, I called it from the beginning. If just Kawhi was healthy, they beat the Suns in 6 or 7. If Paul George and Kawhi are healthy, they might gentlemen sweep the Suns. I'm not playing right now because that team was able to compete with them without both their top dogs. So I love this move. I don't think I don't like if James Harden would come to the Clippers as well with Westbrook. I don't know if that's just not going to work in my opinion. I don't think the style of ball Harden plays, I just don't think is conducive to winning it all. I really don't. That solo style where everybody stands around, I dance for 17 seconds, and then I either jack up a step back, I drive to the hole and either get fouled or make a layup or miss it, or I kick it out. Like that just did not induce it. I know they got to a game 7, but that was mostly, in my opinion, off of Chris Paul. So I don't like that move if Harden comes to the Clippers. But yeah, I love that move. I just really hope that Paul George and Kawhi can stay healthy because I really do think that if they're healthy, they are right there with the Denver Nuggets in terms of compete for a championship. But you had a team you wanted to talk about that made a move?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay.
Because one of their big issues last year, getting bounced out the first round to the Knicks, was the Donovan Mitchell or the Darius Garland show.
Yep.
They had nobody else. Evan Mobley was doing his thing. Evan Mobley was, guarding Julius Randle, doing what he can. They desperately need a small forward that can space the floor, that can defend, and can really shoot the 3-ball. They didn't have that in Isaac Okoro. Yeah. Now you sign 2 guys that can do that in Max Strus and George Niang. And I think those 2 guys are really great additions. While you still have Isaac Okoro, who can defend at a high clip. You got Isaac who can defend at a high clip. You got Max and Niang who can shoot the 3-ball at a high clip. And then they get a backup point guard in Ty Jerome, which had a good year in the Warriors. He wasn't as efficient. He wasn't getting his time, but he showed flashes. So I feel like those 3 moves right there really helped Cleveland, and re-signing Karis LeVert because he could have easily went somewhere else. Karis LeVert showed that he could stay healthy, showed that he can contribute off the bench, and he could have went somewhere else, but he decided to stay in Cleveland. I feel like Cleveland going to make a jump this year. Those are some big.
Our buddy John, I don't know if he said this on the Pick a Side show, but he said it here. That I think before the season he said Cleveland was his number 1 seed coming into last season. He thought Cleveland was going to be the number 1 seed in the East. He also thought Minnesota was going to be the number 1 seed in the West. He was wrong on both.
No, that was Joel. Joel said that.
No, but John also said that as well.
Oh, he said that
he
too?
said it here too. He said it here too. I don't know if he switched it up there, but he definitely said it here too.
Oh my God.
So it's interesting to hear you say that those moves make Cleveland that, because in my eyes, right, I understand that, Donovan Mitchell kind of became a no-show later on in the series, right? Darius Garland, he had a hit and he was hit and miss. He's still young. He's going to take those steps. He's got to be more consistent, more aggressive. What I really thought lost them that Knicks series was Jared Allen and Evan Mobley being way too skinny and weak. Mitchell Robinson owned their asses.
Yes.
Straight up in the paint. That was where, for me, it was won and lost. Mitchell Robinson was bullying them. So and for Mobley, mostly, he's just going to grow into his man body, right? His NBA body. He's still young. He's like 21, 22. He's still going to put on. And I would hope that what Mitchell Robinson did to him in the playoffs, he's going to take that and he was going to be in the weight room a week after that series.
And he's going to do that to somebody else.
Building that muscle up. Jared Allen, too, because I think I just saw a rumor last night that they're open to the possibility of trading Jared Allen.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I that's what, for me, I just think that that needs to be them just being put on more size and not weight. They need to be bigger right now, right? So, yeah, with Cleveland, I just think it's going to be tough for them to break in to that 4 area, because I just think that Miami is going to obviously be better when Dame comes. I think they're even better without Dame. Milwaukee is better than Cleveland, in my opinion. You got Philly is still there. I still think that they're better. We'll see what happens with James Harden. And
I don't think you want to hear my bold take. I don't think James is going to get moved.
You think Harden's staying in Philly?
I think he stays in Philly, because if I'm James, and I think Joel said it on Pick a Side.
Yeah.
If I'm James Harden, and you look out into the league, there's nowhere you can go to compete for a championship. The best place you can do it is in Philly, next to the reigning MVP, next to not even up and coming. He's here, and he's only going to get higher, Tyrese Maxey. And then then you got a pest in Pat Beverly that they just signed.
Yep.
You got oh my God, what's his name that just signed in Philly? Oh my God, I forgot his name. Wow, it's drawing me a blank. But I think if James Harden looks around the league and he really takes a look at himself, his best place he can win is Philly.
So I do agree with you. But I mean, this isn't our fault, right? Like this is James Harden. James Harden's the one who said he wanted out of Philly again. Like,
I don't know why he said that.
Because I mean, wasn't the initial the first problem, right, was he didn't like Doc. He wanted Doc gone, right? Doc's gone.
That was the other thing. You get a championship coach in Nick Nurse.
Yeah. And you get the guy out that you didn't want anymore.
Exactly. You made all these moves just to leave.
Yep. And then the other part of that report was he wanted his basketball freedom. Whatever the hell that freaking means.
What does that mean? Like, this is not Houston anymore.
But he's got Daryl Morey. He's got Daryl Morey, who will literally bend the knee to James Harden because he is a god to him for some reason.
Literally.
So I can't answer you why James Harden does it. James Harden is one of the, in my opinion, James Harden is the most overrated player that honestly that I can think of. I just haven't been
I have a couple names who over that.
That's fine. It's just, for me, somebody who liked James Harden early on was really big for him when Houston. I was a really big believer, and then year after year after year, failure, come up short, choke.
Yeah.
You kind of you see what a guy is, and also the not taking it super seriously, and then all the demanding people out, blaming it on Dwight Howard, even though he got outplayed by LaMarcus Aldridge, Dwight Howard, and Damian Lillard in his second year in a playoff series.
Yes.
Then wanting CP3 getting them to Game 7. Then they have their battles in their second year. Then demanding CP out, wanting Russ in, then blaming it on Russ getting him out, and then saying, "Oh wait, Now I want out of Houston. You show up, out of shape and all that. You go to Brooklyn. Then you say, I'm tired of Kyrie shit. I want out of Brooklyn. Then you go to Philly. Now you're saying you're done with Philly.
And what makes me mad is that when they were in Brooklyn, they really had a shot. I think if Harden doesn't mess around and come in unhealthy that season, he doesn't get hurt, and they still win that Bucks series. And like some of them, you could put the blame on him too. Like, dude, you gotta be better. But the reason why I still believe in James Harden, I believed in James Harden when I was young, when he was a Houston guy, when those CP years, averaging 36 a game, he was killing. But I feel like your best bet right now is Philly because of not the play style you had back then, but the play style he's playing with now. They moved him when he was in Brooklyn. They moved him to the 1. He was very passive. He took not minimal shots, but he took shots when they needed. And I feel like you saw that in Philly, and you let Joel Embiid reign. You get all the other guys involved, and that's winning basketball. Like if you watch a lot of their wins, James Harden gets a double-double. Joel Embiid leads the team in scoring. Tyrese Maxey, could come off the bench, get 15, 20 off the bench. You get games where Harden goes 20 and 10, 20 and 9, 19 and 12. Like he led the league in assists.
Yeah, he did.
That shows his change in play style. And I think where your play style is gonna fit is in Philly. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. You go, keep going, go ahead.
No, the first year he was in Philly. What? They lost to Miami in the second round. In 6 games. Then the next year you get a chance to win in Boston. You get a chance to beat Boston, potentially go to your first ECF. You wet the bed. Then, you wet the bed. All right, let's go to game 7. Jason Tatum has a masterclass and goes for 50. And there's no way you can't look in the locker room and say, yo, we could really do this. Bro, I don't know, man. I see the dream in Philly. You take out Doc. Doc was terrible, in my opinion. You take out Doc. You bring in a championship mind in Nick Nurse, who won with, I understand Kevin Durant got hurt, whatever, but he won with guys like Kyle Lowry. Yes, you had a superstar in Kawhi Leonard. You got the most you could out of Pascal Siakam, who just came out of the G League. You got the best you could out of Fred VanVleet. You win with guys you had a veteran presence in Marc Gasol, but Nick Nurse is a mastermind. You get what you want. Why do you want out of Philly? You get closer and closer every year. I don't get it.
He is an enigma, to say the least. It's hard to explain, James. I hear all your points, right, and I hear the dream, you right, but I'm sorry to pop your bubble. It's just not going to work. They're going to come up short, whether it has to be with Embiid not being healthy down the stretch or James Harden choking again. It is the story of both of their careers so far. I don't see James Harden changing. Can Embiid kind of, luck one up and get through an entire season and the playoffs being healthy? That is a possibility. I think that's more of a possibility than James Harden showing up for 5 games out of an entire series, if I'm going to be honest with you, because James Harden's not going to do that. They do need to get rid of Tobias Harris, not because Tobias is a bad player, just because they don't use him the right way.
His contract is terrible.
It isn't the best. The way they use Tobias is basically go stand in the corner. James Harden's going to dribble for 15 seconds or whatever. Then he's going to decide, I'm going to give it to Joel, or we're going to do a pick and roll, and I might kick it to you out there. That's not how Tobias is going to be the most effective. Tobias is going to be the most effective on a team like a Washington, a Utah. Not to disrespect Tobias, just to be when he can be a main scorer on a team that's not really got aspirations to win. That's where Tobias can thrive the most, because he can score 20 a game.
Yeah, we've seen it when he was a Clipper.
When they really weren't, a contender or anything like that, he was putting up good numbers and competing his ass off.
Yeah.
And for what you're asking him to be, you can't be paying him that. You're basically asking him to be a 3-and-D guy when that's really he's made himself a better defender than what he was, but he's not this elite defender. And he's not, like I said, he's not a guy to say spot up and shoot. While he can do that, that's not what he's best at. So it just doesn't fit in Philly. You got to get rid of Tobias. And I just think that Philly is always going to be that. What's the saying? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. They're always going to be that like third team to Boston, Miami, and Milwaukee. They're never
They'll
going
have a good regular season, but they won't. Open the playoffs.
That's it. That's really what it comes down to.
It's either Harden don't show up, Embiid get hurt, something like that.
That's it. Now I do like Nick Nurse. I love Nick Nurse.
I love Nick Nurse.
I think he's top 5 in the league right now as a head coach. But it's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting if the style of play changes. Yeah. Because it was really just Harden and Embiid centric last year. It'll be interesting if it changes a little bit more. But so let's move on to our final basketball topic. Did Phoenix build the best team in the West in free agency? What say you, Nick? He's not in his Nope. Hell no.
No.
Nope.
Listen, when it comes to Phoenix, in the beginning, it was all about they got Bradley Beal, but they got no depth. Now they have a little bit of depth. I still don't think they put up the best free agency team. I think it's the Lakers. I think when you look at LA, they got pieces that they needed. They re-signed Rui. They got D'Lo on the low. They got Austin Rivers on the low. And you get a guy like Gabe Vincent who can shoot, who's a gunslinger, who was a gunslinger coming into the league. And then, Spo changed him into a combo guard, a two-way guy. And then now he just goes to the Lakers. And he's like, I don't know, man. I think the Lakers put the best team. But to talk about Phoenix a little bit, I love the depth that they added. You get guys like I love Drew Eubanks. Because, like we were talking about Dame before, Dame is my favorite player in the league. That's why I want him to come to Miami. Favorite player, favorite team. Like, I'm a match made in heaven. But when I was watching those Portland games when we were down, Drew Eubanks was a beast on the defensive end. Blocking shots, yes, got fouls, whatever, but Drew was no joke. You got Keita Bates-Diop who can stretch the floor, shoot the ball. You still got Campaign. You got rid of Chris Paul. You bring in a guy like Bradley Beal. Like, I think that their depth that they have now definitely helps. You bring guys back like Josh Okogie. I thought Josh Okogie was good, but
he needs that kid. I mean, his 3-point I mean, like the one time he was shooting like 50%, and then when he was asked to take a bigger role, that he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat, man. But the Sun. Listen, I think the Suns is they signed a bunch of guys, which is really what they could only do because all their money is on 4 people. Yes. Let's see what they got. Phoenix team is scary. I wonder if they traded Ayton still. I think it's all a smokescreen saying they're going to keep him. Well,
I mean, I don't know what they're going to do with Ayton.
Yeah, I was saying get rid of him, right? Because he just doesn't fit, and maybe you can get
and
2
that contract
guys.
is terrible.
It's bad. He's another guy like Tobias that if you get him on a team that's not competing for championships, he can give you 20, 23, and 10 easily. But what I was thinking is you trade him and you get 2 guys that will give you much more production that in areas you need because you don't need offense anymore. You need defense now. You need interior presence. And they all reports saying that they're keeping him.
I forgot. They signed Eric Gordon. So you got another punch coming off the bench. I completely forgot about that. Yes, Eric Gordon is a shot chucker, but Eric Gordon can spark offense by himself. So, like, you add another scorer that, like, if Beal's having an off night, Devin Booker really can't get going. When you play against my problem is when you look at the Phoenix Suns and you look at like their starting lineups, they're gonna have problems against bigger teams. Like when you play like guys like Giannis, like the Bucks.
Yeah, and Jokic.
Who's gonna guard Giannis? Who's gonna guard Brook Lopez?
And Jokic, and like Jokic,
and Jokic.
Because exactly. That, I mean, you say the Eastern Conference, yeah, in the regular season, but if we're talking just the playoffs in the West, hey, you're gonna have to go through a Jokic. You're gonna have to go through an AD and LeBron. This is not like there are teams
like I understand he's not offensively there yet, but you got to go through guys like Jaren Jackson Jr.
Yep.
They're gonna have trouble with big teams.
It's gonna be a tough one for that. I don't know what they do because you're saying the guy was saying it was all a smokescreen, right?
Yeah.
I take people at face value because I just if we get into everybody's line, then it just becomes too foggy, right?
Yeah.
For all indications, they're keeping Ayton. So they're going with this quote-unquote big four. It's not really a big four. Ayton has shot the bed continuously. He doesn't deserve to be included in a big four.
I don't think Ayton is a big anything.
Yeah, he's not. He had the potential. He shows it, but he just doesn't.
Just a body.
Listen, man, if when a teammate is asking you in the playoffs, do you want to win? Right there, it's done. Devin Booker is literally asking you, do you want to win? If I even have to ask that question, he shouldn't be. I just think that moving on would be for the best. Addition by subtraction, just kind of move on from him and get some defensive pieces that you can really help build that big three around. But yeah, the Suns, for me, it's just more about surrounding the team with auxiliary parts, and that's really it. You brought up Eric Gordon. I completely forgot about that. He's probably going to be their backup.
That completely slipped my mind, but that's a big add.
He's I think he's 35 at this point now.
He's got it.
He did a solid job for the Clippers in his short time there. He can still go. He's always been an inconsistent scorer, but he's kind of come a long way as a playmaker in his late stage of his career, which is probably what he's going to play, kind of like a backup point guard. So they might
back up two because you still have Campaign coming off the bench.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so they're going to move him to the two. Okay, so yeah.
Actually, wait, no, they don't have. No, they don't have Chris Paul anymore. So Campaign might start at the one.
No, I think they're going to start Book. at the
one.
Well, because think about it. That's what he was playing a lot in the playoffs when Chris Paul got injured. And even when Chris Paul was on the bench or whatever, Devin took a lot more of a role as a point guard. A lot of people liked what they saw as that. So I think that's really what they're going with. I think they're going to go Book at the one, Beal at the two, KD 3 or 4. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. And then maybe a Kobe or something, right?
You could put a Kogi at the 3, KD at the 4, 8 at the 5.
Yeah, and then Ayton at the 5, obviously.
They could go a couple different ways.
Yeah, but they're going to run into the same problems they had last year if they keep Ayton, which is like Nick said, you're not stopping a LeBron, you're not stopping a Jokic. It's just not going to happen. You did touch on the Lakers a little bit. The Lakers, they made some great moves. They retained people. The one move I wasn't a fan of was D'Lo. I know I was, he in the playoffs last year, to me, he got really exposed as he wasn't giving them what they needed. And he got benched for Dennis Schroeder. I thought I thought Gabe Vincent was a really good signing. And I thought because they signed Gabe Vincent, they weren't going to bring back Kyrie Irving. I mean, not Kyrie Irving. D'Lo. But they brought D'Lo back. So they basically brought back the guys that they they brought in at the trade deadline, except for Mo Bamba. They booted him.
And Malik Beasley.
They haven't brought back.
He's gonna have a good year in Milwaukee.
Oh, he signed.
Okay. I have him written as one of my. sleepers.
He's very sporadic in his shot, but if he's on, he can start lighting it up. But the Lakers, I think a great addition for them that they haven't made would be to get Dwight Howard back.
I heard that there were rumors about Dwight coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it just is a perfect fit. It just seems like it's you got to do that. Like he was very effective for you in that championship run in the bubble, being able to take Jokic on for like 15 minutes or whatever. Use up some fouls, rough him up a little bit,
give AD a break.
Yeah, give AD a break. So I just think that's perfect. I don't know if JaVale McGee is a free agent too, or if he's still on a team. But bringing him in.
I think he's in Dallas. Still.
I think he's in Dallas. He's somewhere. I just don't know if he's a free agent.
You're talking about bringing back the bubble team.
That's what I'm saying, because those guys were so, if that that three-headed monster of AD, JaVale, and Dwight, you give AD so much of a break with having those two other big dudes to just take up a couple more minutes. You need it. You really need it. All right, but that's wrapping up our basketball portion of the talk. Now it's time to get into some football. We're coming up. I think it's 60-something days, if I'm not mistaken, away.
I think so. First preseason game is
the Hall of Fame game is
end of August.
Oh, the first or last?
I think last. I was looking at the schedule.
Oh, the last preseason game is the last week of August. I think so. So we've got 60 days left. Now, John also wanted me to ask you this too, Nick. He wants to know, how did Nick, a New York guy, become a Las Vegas, or I guess maybe when you were a fan, were the Oakland Raiders? How did you become a Raiders fan?
So, first of all, I do have to say I am still 1,000% a New York Jet. New York Jets all the way. I remember Chad Pennington all those years back in the day. I just had to get that out the way. We went in the Super Bowl, by the way. We went in the Super Bowl. So when it comes to, I like to say Oakland. When it comes to Oakland, I wasn't really much of a football watcher when I was younger because my mom never let me play. So I started watching football, and favorite colors black. Some of my favorite colors black, blue, all the dark colors. So I started watching Oakland. I'm like, yo, they got cool jerseys. Like, what is that? So I started paying attention to Oakland, and this guy just came out the draft. He was a good quarterback in college, and his name was Derek Carr. And watching that kid play in Oakland, had a rough rookie season, of course. And then after that, not that he skyrocketed, but he showed a lot of potential. He's a great quarterback, in my opinion. I think he's like that 14 to 20 range when it comes to top quarterbacks in the league. But I don't know, man. In the beginning, it was the jerseys, and then after that, it was history. And I just fell in love with Oakland. And then they moved to Vegas, and nothing really changed. They got a nice stadium. I've actually been there. I actually went to Vegas 1 week for my little cousin's 21st birthday, and they were playing. I forgot who they were playing. And I was like, dude, do you want to go? He's like, I don't really watch football. I woke up that morning, and I was like, yo, are we doing anything? He's like, yeah, I'm about to go do this. I was like, I don't want to do that. He was like, dude, do whatever you want. So I bought a cheap ticket to go watch Oakland, Vegas Raiders. I keep doing that. And it was great, man. And I've been a Las Vegas Raider fan probably since a couple years now. So Vegas is really my second team. I love
it. So we're gonna talk about Raiders Broncos breakdown right now. A little bit of a preseason or a preview of what's to come for them. We'll start with the Raiders. So we were talking a little bit in our pre-show about them, and Nick was letting us know that he understood that basically last year was a down season, right? He expected a lot more from a Derek Carr and a Devontae Adams, and he was hoping that they were going to translate that into this season where they'd hone in on the problems and the issues that happened last season and then basically erase those and fix those and make them strengths. That's obviously not the case. They moved Derek Carr out. Derek Carr requested a trade. He said, I'm going to New Orleans, in a pretty gangster move, I might add. Now you got Jimmy G. Now Jimmy G is familiar with Josh McDaniel's system. Both guys have been in New England. You still got Devontae. You still got Hunter Renfrow.
And they just signed Jacoby Myers.
Signed Jacoby Myers, which I feel like was a little redundant since your strengths were already receivers. You kind of needed more defense, but hey, listen,
definitely.
it's an offensive league. You trade Darren Waller, who, while at his healthiest, is a top 3 tight end in the league, hasn't been able to stay as healthy. Four. You draft a highly touted prospect out of Notre Dame, Michael, his last name, Moyer or Mayer?
I think Mayer.
And you sign Austin Hooper, who is a solid starting caliber tight end.
And don't forget,
who else
you have one of the best running backs in the league.
And you got the best running backs in the league, Josh Jacobs, obviously.
Josh Jacobs. Saved me in fantasy the past 3 years. Saved me.
Saved you. So you have the offense, right? And if Jimmy G is what he should be, which is just a starting caliber quarterback, you have an offense that can compete. What you don't have is a defense. You have Max Crosby, who's a great defender. Chandler Jones on the backside of 30. He's coming off his worst season.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is looking very taken advantageable, especially in a division. Chargers, you got Chiefs, and the Broncos with Sean Payton now. So what is your forecast for your Las Vegas Raiders going in? What are you hoping for maybe in this season, second season under Josh McDaniels?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a lot of high hopes. I'm just hoping that we don't end up last in the division, because obviously, like you said, when you look at that division, Chiefs are gonna win the division. Chargers are coming in second, and when you look at that Broncos team, Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, you still got guys like Jerry Jeudy, Sutton. You got one of the best corners in the league in oh my God, I'm drawing a blank.
Surtain.
Yeah, Surtain. And you got a good running back in Javonte Williams, and that team, they're looking like they could compete for a playoff spot as a 3rd seed in that division. So there's really no room for us, especially because our defense is so bad.
Yeah.
So bad. I mean, you touched on the 2 biggest points of our defense. You know, Max Crosby's still there, but Chandler Jones back end of 30, had a bad year last year. And I was looking at the schedule. To play the Chiefs twice a year sucks. To play the Chargers twice a year is terrible. We'll probably split with the Broncos. We're playing against teams like, I think we play the Browns. I think we got to play the Jets. I actually had the schedule. Yeah, you got Broncos twice. We playing the Bills so bad. We got to play the Vikings. Not prime time. It's 4:00. So maybe Cousins will show up, but we'll see.
So they're your first, like 7 or 8 games. You got starting out in playing San Francisco. Oh no, wait, that's preseason. All right, so you start off with Denver, then you go Buffalo, then Pittsburgh, then Chargers, then Packers.
We don't get a win. We don't get a win until week 5. I'm telling you right now, because we have to start in Denver. That's a L. Then we have to go to Buffalo. That's a L. Steelers come to town. Steelers are no joke.
No, that's going to be a tough game for both teams. That is a toss-up in my opinion.
And I'm a big believer in Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett is going to have a great year. You know, you go to LA, play the Chargers. That's a L.
That's the
Packers come to town. That's
Monday Night Football. I think that's a winnable game. That's a winnable game.
Exactly.
I don't think in New England. I'm sorry.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think And then Chicago. That's kind of open. So you got in the first like 6 or 7 weeks, Steelers is a winnable game, Packers winnable, and then Bears are winnable.
And that's it.
That's tough. That's a tough start.
Exactly. And don't even talk to me about the back end of the schedule. You got Lions L, Giants L, Jets L, Dolphins L, and then you got the Chiefs twice. You got the Chargers and the Broncos again. The Vikings.
The Colts is the winnable game there again.
Exactly.
It's looking like a possible less than 5-win season for your Las Vegas Raiders. At least you got your picks. I'm pretty sure, right? I think you have your picks coming. So at least you got those. Like I was saying before the show, if it weren't for the John Gruden contract and you guys have money, Josh McDaniels would probably not be your head coach anymore. If it's another down season like we all forecast, it looks like they might move on if they're able to, if they're able to have the money to move on from him. I just don't. Yeah, I know that. Listen, Mark Davis is going to look to make a splash move too if he moves on from Josh. That's why he got Josh. There was the name value, the pizzazz. There's still guys out. There's a guy out there. He's been teasing with the NFL. I don't know if Vegas would be an option for him. It's Harbaugh. I was getting mixed up. I think it's John, right? Or no, Jim. Jim is the one in Michigan.
Oh yeah, I think it's Jim.
I'm a big Jim guy. I'm a big Harbaugh guy in general. I don't know if Vegas would be an option for him. I know Dallas has been linked with him, but I just say him because I know Mark is going to look to make a splash move if he does move on from Josh. I know it's kind of been negative as we're talking about the Raiders and we're already talking about what they're going to do after the season. It's just when you look at the schedule like me and Nick just did, it's a quick overlay of just there's a lot of tough games in there that it's going to be hard to compete with the talent. Could injuries obviously go your way? Yeah, but you also have an injury-prone quarterback. Who's your backup? Is it still Stid?
I think right.
Or is it
Brian Hoyer?
I thought he retired. Oh my god.
No.
Yeah, and you added Philip Dorsett, dude. You realize McDaniel's just trying to build the Patriots again, right?
Yeah.
And it's not even like the best players of the Patriots, even though I loved Jacoby Myers, but even he had a tough time finding the end zone a lot.
Yeah.
I feel bad for you. I hear the sadness coming in your voice already. So let's talk about the Denver Broncos. I don't know if that'll cheer you up, but in terms of Denver,
they have an easier schedule than us.
So what do you got their schedule? I'm pulling it up.
I actually have their schedule saved too. I had them side by side.
So they obviously start with you in Vegas.
That's a win.
Yep. Washington, I think
win.
While Washington can compete, their quarterbacks, I'm not a believer in Sam Howell. If they had a quarterback, I would believe in that team more. They don't.
Yeah.
Miami
lose
in Miami too. If Tua's not healthy, that could be a
could
win,
go in their favor, but
yep. You got Chicago. That's a win.
You think so?
I think that they can beat Chicago. I think both teams are defensively sound. Listen. Quickly on Denver, I'm a big believer in Sean Payton. I think Sean Payton's going to come in here, and I think he's going to fix a lot of the problems of that Russell Wilson had. I think Nathaniel Hackett was what he was. Nathaniel can't hack it in the NFL as a head coach. 10
wins is the floor, 13 the ceiling.
Listen, I think that's the Sean Payton effect. You bring in a Super Bowl caliber head coach, a Hall of Famer. I believe
he's also got a picture of Surtain as his.
Oh yeah, well, so he's not speaking from a real unbiased point of view, but I think this team can compete. My worries are their receivers are not A pluses, they're not A's, they're kind of B's. You got a bunch of B's and C pluses. Maybe Judy can make that jump to an A.
I actually think he can.
I hope so. I hope so, because he also fucked me in my fantasy, man. I wasn't happy about that. But I am believing. Listen, he's from Alabama. Those Alabama kids, they come out and they produce in the NFL. So,
oh my God, yes.
I just have to. There's going to be a lot more rollouts. It's going to be more predicated on the run game and play action, what Russell Wilson was really, really good at.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sean Payton's going to come in there and it's going to have a different feel to the Denver Broncos, and I really am a big believer that Denver's going to turn around. Are they going to be 13? That's tough.
I think that's
let's go. So Raiders we got win, Washington we got win, Miami is pending. Chicago, you think Chicago?
I think it's a pending because Justin Fields can take over a game.
Okay.
Because that kid's good, and they did address a lot of things that they needed in the offseason. You know, the line got better. They added some defensive pieces.
They added DJ Moore.
Unfortunately, they kept Chase Claypool, and they just got DJ Moore.
Traded for DJ Moore. Yep.
So now that you give Justin Fields a target, you know, he doesn't have to rely on his legs a lot. He can pass the ball, and he becomes one of those really big dual threat quarterbacks.
I come from a different camp. I'm not the biggest believer in Justin Fields. It has to do with, listen, I know what we look at when we see Justin Fields. We look at and we see a potential of what Jalen Hurts is, a potential of what Josh Allen is, Lamar.
I think more Lamar than Josh Allen.
Yeah, in terms of, for what I mean by that is mobile quarterbacks who are also getting it done throwing the ball, right?
Yeah.
Taking those steps forward. Becoming a much better passer is what I mean, right?
Very true, yes.
Well, for every one of those I just named, there are 2 or 3 of the failed running quarterbacks, mobile quarterbacks. And it's just, for me, I just don't. Can he do it? Sure. But you talk about Jalen Hurts, who dedicated getting better as a passer. Josh Allen took that next jump because he got a Stephon Diggs, and that confidence – grew to the next level. If you look at the jump year to year, from year to year, and then Lamar Jackson, just the ability to. Lamar was honestly, to me, is just a next level talent. For Justin Fields, I worry a little bit. I just don't know if he's going to take that jump. I just think, listen, not everybody's going to succeed, and I know that sucks to say, but it is the fact of life. It is truth. Not every quarterback's going to hit. They're going to be busts.
Somebody's got to fall.
And if you look at that draft class, T-Law, Zach, Fields, Mac, and I'm missing one. I'm forgetting another one. You already got T-Law succeeding. Usually in those first round, it's one, maybe 2. You get 2. You rarely get that Phillip Rivers, Manning, Office Word class. That doesn't come around.
Mm-hmm.
I
have a hot take. I do want to say we don't have to touch on it. I know people might hate me for it, but I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a better year than Justin Herbert.
That's not a hot take to me. I think Trevor Lawrence is in line for an MVP candidate season. You do what he did last year,
and you get a guy like Calvin Ridley.
No weapons. His best weapon was
Christian Kirk.
B plus receiver. Calvin Ridley's an A. Calvin Ridley's a true 1. And he's gonna take another jump. And
you still have guys like Travis Etienne.
Yep. Another year under him.
Who's the tight end?
Evan Ingram, who took a massive jump, finally kind of filling out that potential that the Giants had for him.
Mm-hmm.
But back to the Denver Broncos schedule. So I think Denver takes that W in
okay. And then you got New York
Jets. That's going to be a defensively tough game.
That's a loss. Because you're talking about we got to see if Jerry Jeudy can make the leap to a 1. Yeah, if he doesn't make that leap by that week, I think Sauce is going to eat him alive. Sauce is going to have a field day.
That's going to be a very interesting game to watch because it's going to be 2 great defenses. You got Rodgers facing that great defense, and you got Sean Payton and Russ trying to figure out that defense.
Especially because Russell likes to throw the deep ball. Yeah, and Jerry Jeudy's most of the time their deep guy. If not him, it's Sutton. But when you throw that deep ball, when it goes in the air, you're giving Sauce time. And if you give Sauce time, there's a 95% chance, that's just me being biased, that they're not going to catch it. If you give Sauce time, what's up?
Oh, he just said, I just saw in the comments that Tim Patrick is also back, another receiver that went down last year before the preseason.
That's very true.
To be like that three-headed monster.
Yeah.
They got weapons.
Yeah, they do. It's just about like you said, the Sean Payton, Russell Wilson connection.
That's the biggest mystery. Because listen, we can go down the schedule, right? It's all going to be predicated on whether you think if you're more high on Sean Payton fixing Russ or not. If you are, you probably come from my camp where you think that they can beat a team like New York and Chicago and Green Bay and stuff like that, and maybe even split with an LA and a Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
But if you're maybe a little bit more hesitant, like Nick is, you're kind of like, I need to see it to really believe it in front of my eyes before I go, okay, this team can compete with the other teams. This is the team that we thought we were getting last year when that wild west was going to be a thing. Well, it was pretty wild, all right. A lot of things that weren't predictable. But yeah, I think we're both kind of on the same path of they're kind of like that third team in the AFC West.
They're the third team that can sneak into the playoffs.
They're gonna
make it to the wild card, win a game, go to the first round, probably lose in the first round because they'd have to play a team like the Chiefs, or they have.
Yep. They get the luck of the draw in terms of the not the luck of the draw because they'd be a third matchup between Denver.
But if you're looking at it the way you're looking at it, if they split with them during the year, and then let's say they do make it to the wild card, they win the wild card match and they play them in the first round, it's nothing they're not used to.
No, and this too. I know we're not talking about LA. We're gonna do that another week, but I'm not high on Staley at all. I think Staley deserved to lose his job last year, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm a big fan of adding Kellen Moore because I think he's going to bring a lot of offensive guru-ness to Justin Herbert. But Brandon Staley has come up short year in and year out. He has not gotten the best out of that talent group.
Yeah.
If he comes up short again and you're getting out coached by Sean Payton, which is very, very likely, there's a chance Denver can sneak into the second spot and steal that spot from the Chargers. Because we know the Chargers have the talent. They've always come up short, though.
And what makes me upset is because, like, as much as people portray me as a Justin Herbert hater, you got to blame the coach because Justin Herbert hasn't had that. People talk about Justin Herbert like he's a top 5 talent. To me, he hasn't done anything.
He hasn't yet.
He hasn't done anything. And it's partially him and it's partially the coach. So if you fail again this year, not only are you putting bad rep on your name, you're putting bad rep on his name. So, I understand. But, if you look, a lot of quarterbacks are big reflections of their coaches.
They are. You're right. You're 100% right. It needs to – Justin Herbert, for that talent, you need to give him the best supporting cast. And
exactly.
The head coach – while they've given him the talent –
and, injuries played a factor.
They did. But you've given him the talent. But we know in basketball, head coaches, there are the next level ones like a Pop, a Nick Nurse, a Steve Kerr, a Spo.
Thank you.
A Ty Lue. Yeah, sorry, I know. I was getting there.
A Ty Lue.
Those guys who can take less talented teams and make them more talented. But in the NFL, head coaching is much more. It's like 50-50 players coaching. It's much more important in football. So I think that's where Brandon Staley comes up short. I think he needed – if they come up short again, which I'm honestly predicting they will, there's no more – you have to get rid of him. You have to at this point. If you want to do the best for your franchise quarterback, you have to. But yeah, they do flop. I saw in the comments the Chargers do flop every season, even in back to the Phil Rivers years with Schottenheimer.
That year last year, Lou, I say this all the time. He had 1 touchdown, and you lost to a guy who had 3 to 4 interceptions. You let him come back and win that game.
Yep.
You let Trevor Lawrence have this magical comeback. Put all this grace on his name. You did that.
You did it.
And like you said, he should have been fired last year.
That's a fireable offense, basically. That's a fireable offense. You lose that type of playoff game. No, there's no. It's just. I hope that doesn't hang on a Justin Herbert because that type of loss could be a detriment to his psyche and his career.
Exactly.
I mean, look at Matt Ryan.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Look at Matt Ryan. It's not, that thing is hard to come back from when you lose a game like that.
And it was Herbert's first time in the playoffs.
Yep.
Everybody was so excited. Oh my God! Like,
Pressure.
you know, Herbert about to be in the playoffs. The lights are about to be bright. Everybody's gonna be like, everybody's waiting for him to shine. Everybody's waiting for him to show that top 5 quarterback that people say he is. And it, like, bro, nothing.
Did nothing. It's so, I mean, that's gonna wrap up our football talk of the portion, and we've talked basketball. I want to just touch on something. I don't know if you are if you're into the UFC.
I'm trying to get into it.
You're trying to get into it. So this is perfect for me to just. This is going to end our episode, but I just want to touch on one last thing, and I can maybe get a viewer for this Saturday. So this Saturday is UFC 290. It's International Fight Week. It's kind of the UFC's big event of the year. They have the Hall of Fame ceremony. They have like a fan event where people come in Vegas. The headliner of this show is Alexander Volkanovski, the featherweight champion of the world, taking on Yair Rodriguez, the interim featherweight champion. Volk is coming off, moving up to 155, trying to become double champ, and taking on Islam and putting up a performance that I didn't expect. A lot of people didn't expect. A lot of people thought he was going to get smashed. I honestly thought he was going to get smashed. He went all 5 rounds with Islam, and even made it a close decision where some people were thinking Volk won that fight. He ended the fight on top. He was able to wobble Islam and ended the 5th round on top, landed big shots. Volkanovski's got 3 wins over Max Holloway, one of the biggest fan favorites in the UFC. Volk is kind of on this apex. He's on this different level right now. But the threat that Yair presents to him is Yair's coming off a big win over Josh Emmett, winning the interim championship, actually on the same card that Volk and Islam fought. Mm. What Yair brings is this crazy, unpredictable striking style and even ground game. He's going to throw caution to the wind with the kicks, the crazy spinning attacks.
I was just about to ask, what's his main style of fighting?
It's unpredictable is the best way to put it. It's hard to prepare for a guy like that because the shots are coming from different angles. You never know what he's gonna pull out, a cartwheel head kick or some shit like that. Volk deserves to be, I think he's the minus 400 favorite right now. He deserves to be that because he is the undisputed champ. He's been on a tear. He's beaten the best of the best. But Yair does present something. I'm still gonna take Volk. I think the best bet would be Volk by decision. But if this fight were to end by a finish, no disrespect to Volk, because I don't want it to sound like that, it would be Yair catching him with some crazy shit. There was a thing I saw where Volk kind of has to be wearisome of the head kicks and the flying attacks because he likes to duck his head and dip his head certain ways. Yair can catch him if he saw the film, which I'm sure he has, and can time it perfectly. You never know. This guy is one of the craziest fights I've ever seen in my life is Yair Rodriguez versus the Korean Zombie in a 5-round fight where Yair was losing the fight. It was in the 5th round. It was 4:59, so there's 1 second left in the round, Nick. Yair hits a shot that I don't think has ever been replicated. Maybe it has. It's what you call, I guess, a chicken wing elbow. Basically, the best way I can describe it is he's going like this, right? And he hits him because the head's coming and it hits like this. I don't know how you gain enough torque, flatlines him with 1 second left in the fight. It was the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. If you have time, look up that highlight. It's one of the craziest things you'll ever see. I don't know how he gets enough torque going backwards with the elbow to flatline somebody. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's just a taste of what Yair throws at you, presents the problems. But I do think Volk gets it done by decision. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think Yair has come from a guy who is known as kind of a quitter to a guy he's going to give you everything. He's got that real Mexican style mentality. So yeah, that's going to be a great fight. The co-main event.
I feel like that's the big. And you said Yair's moving up in weight class?
No. Volk went up to 155 in his last fight. He's coming back down to 145.
Oh, okay. Then that's different from what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Because I feel like coming up in weight classes, you're taking harder punches.
Yep.
You're dealing with bigger hands. Some people have bigger hands, so that would have presented a challenge. But I feel like that's the best thing when it comes to contact sports. When you look at UFC, when you look at boxing, it's anybody's game.
Yep.
It's anybody's game until the ding goes off, until the round ends, until the match is over.
You never
And like
know
you were saying, all it takes, like you were saying, he's probably timing his kicks, watching film. He knows he's the underdog.
Yep.
So all it takes is that right hit at the right time in the right place.
Yep.
And that's it. And
You're
anybody
exactly
can fall. Anybody can fall.
Right. You're exactly right. And we've seen it too. Valentina Shevchenko was Valentina Shevchenko was one of the great it's still one of the greatest of all times, but she was reigning champion for so long. A couple months ago, she got caught with a rear naked choke, had to tap out. You never know what's going to happen with these shots. But the co-main event, another Mexican champion, Brandon Moreno, flyweight champion, taking on Alexandre Pantoja, if I'm saying that, Alexandre. This is their second fight, I believe. I don't think it's been their third fight, but I think it's their second because they might have had a fight on the Ultimate Fighter, but they don't really count that. If I'm not mistaken, it's only 2 rounds. Yeah. But this is for the flyweight championship. Brandon Moreno has really been on. I mean, this guy is a rematch king. Just to show you, since 2020, he has only fought 2 different fighters, basically. It's been Davison Figueiredo his last 4 out of 5 fights, and then Kai Kara France, who he already fought prior to, so it was a rematch. This is another rematch, a fight in which he lost years ago. I think it was in 2018. Was their last fight. He lost to Pantoja. Brandon Moreno has come a long way since that fight. That was actually the fight that got him released from the UFC. Then he won a fight, came back, went on a tear, drew with the flyweight champion Figueiredo in one of the greatest fights you'll ever see. Then was able to win the fight back and then went on a back and forth with Figueiredo. Now he's the undisputed champ. He's taking on a rematch in Pantoja, a guy who he lost to, but he's a completely different fighter now. Brandon Moreno, there's this quote out there by Teddy Atlas. When you become a champion, I think he said you become 10 or 20% better instantly overnight, just because that confidence is in you now. You're the champ now. So Brandon Moreno is that, and he carries himself like that. I think Pantoja is dangerous, but I think Brandon Moreno is the favorite for a reason, because Brandon Moreno has had the tougher test. Davison Figueiredo is no joke. Davison Figueiredo is probably one of the hardest hitting 125ers on the planet. And Brandon Moreno is able to take some of the biggest shots. Both guys have never been finished. All right, so both guys are coming in with Moreno is 21-6-2, Pantoja is 25-5. No finish. Neither of them have been finished in their career. This is probably going to go to decision. It's probably going to go to the judges, and I could see this being just a dogfight. These two just grueling it, going at it, especially with the flyweights. These guys can go longer. They can extend more energy because they have more in the tank than the bigger dudes.
Yeah, they got the stamina.
Yep. So you can see these guys just going all out war, seeing like an output of like 300 shots thrown per guy, possibly. I know that's astronomical, but there's a chance of that. These guys just start throwing shots at each other. I believe in Brandon Moreno. I think he has really cemented himself. I know this title has kind of changed hands since Demetrius Johnson was champion and reigned down on this flyweight division, but I think it's Brandon Moreno's time, and I think Pantoja's might be underestimating him, where he's basically saying like, listen, I've already beaten you, I can beat you again. This is a different Brandon Moreno. It's been like 6 or 7 years since your last fight. It's gonna be a tough ass fight. I got Brandon Moreno by decision.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, you can't, like we say it all the time in other sports, you can never count out the champ.
Yep.
Because like you said before, once you get that championship mentality, you know what it takes to win. You've been there, you've done it. You've been in those situations, and like not just confidence, like you start seeing differently. You start looking around, you start seeing things a little bit better. You start seeing things like when it comes to UFC, you can start you can see a little more like what's the word? Like you can kind of foreshadow some things. You can see the way guys lean. You can see the way like they do like a little tweak before a punch, a tweak before a kick. Like you start noticing the little things when you become a champ.
Yes.
And like that probably will give him an advantage. And if they go all the way, he'll probably just he might know it goes all the way. So he might just try to bank on his percentages.
100%.
Because you got to think like, yeah, like 300 blows like per guy. When it comes to decision, they're talking about who landed punches more.
Yep, damage.
Who was landing kicks, who was landing power punches, like
harder shots. Yep.
At that point, he might play like, sorry to bring it back to boxing, he might play a little Floyd Mayweather where he just, he ducks back, gets his high percentage shots in, and those high percentage shots might make it look like he could win the fight, and then when it goes to decision, he has the higher percentages, and he, like you said, win by decision. So you can never count out the champ.
No. Even if he's already lost to the guy that's the challenger.
Exactly. So, didn't you say he lost to the challenger like a couple years ago?
Yeah, it's been years. 2018 was their fight. So both guys are different fighters since what they were. Just to wrap it up real quick, because I know our guy in the back that you can't see behind the curtain, John. He's got a flight to catch soon, so I don't want to hold him up. But just to quickly go over my predictions for the rest of the card: Robert Whittaker and Dricus du Plessis fight, two top contenders in the middleweight division. This is looking like the winner of this fight, if they can turn around quick enough in September to fight Israel Adesanya in Australia, the winner of that fight's going to take that title shot. I got Whittaker taking that. I think he actually possibly is going to get a finish maybe in the second round. Jalen Turner and Dan Hooker, two top 15 lightweights. This is just going to be a great scrap. I know a lot of people are high on Jalen Turner. He's a very good fighter. I think this is just perfectly fit for Dan Hooker to really get it done. I think he's kind of come back and gained a little bit more confidence now, picking his fights a little bit better. So that's going to be a great scrap. And then the return of Bo Nickel. His opponent, Tresean Gore pulled out. Sucks, but he got a replacement. It's a newcomer. Listen, I don't care who it is. You put Bo Nickel, first round submission. Book it right now. Make the bet. It's going to happen. This guy is the next contender up. He's the next big thing. Remember the name, Bo Nickel. And finally, the main event of the prelims, retirement fight for one of the greats. He's going in the Hall of Fame the same week. Robbie Lawler, former champ. He's taking on Nico Price. It all depends on what Robbie shows up. Is this the Robbie, that is much more motivated than his last fight, or is this the Robbie that's going to come up and just kind of, I don't know, just not take it as seriously as he once did. I know he's in his 40s now, but it would be great to see Robbie Lawler go out on a dub, because you rarely see the greats do that. But
I feel like that's a lot of mentality when it comes to like these greats coming back and fighting again. I feel like they just look at their careers. They're like, yeah, I've done so much, but I want to go out with a bang.
Yeah, you think you can still, and then you start chasing that W, and then it just becomes 3-4 losses.
And then when they're in the middle of the match, they're like, all right, like I just got to get out of here and I got to go home.
Yep, exactly.
Once they win, it's a different feeling. They're like, yeah, I should have stayed home, but I'm glad I did this.
100%. But yeah, that's going to wrap up UFC 290. If I were to tell you my quick bets of it, if you want to parlay it, I'm probably going to do it. It's Volkanovski, Moreno, Whittaker, Hooker, Bo Nickel, first round submission. I'm big on that one. And let's throw Robbie Lawler, Nico Price just to go to the decision. I don't think either of them are going to get finished in that fight. But that's going to wrap up the UFC 290 talk, and that's going to wrap up episode 115 of the Wise Guys podcast. Thank you for watching and staying with us. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends and family. Follow us on Twitter. Nick, his Twitter link will probably be in the description. You probably saw it on the screen throughout the show. Follow him. Nick, thank you for being our co-host today. It was kind of on thankful for that, because Justin had a work thing at the last second. John had to catch a flight, so we're thankful for that.
Listen, man, I appreciate y'all having me, man. I've been waiting to get on the pod, thinking about starting my own, but I really appreciate you guys having me, man. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But yeah, if thank you for watching, guys. Episode 115 of the Wise Guys podcast. And to wrap it up, Damian Lillard taking his talents to South Beach. I've been
South
Brennan Capozziello.
Beach.
That was Nick Perez, right? Is your last name?
Yeah, Perez.
Nick Perez. And we have been the Wise Guys. Like Justin says, stay classy.